Welcome to Streams Pause and God, where we are going to talk tonight about building community in terms of not so much streams, because I don't have, even though I've been streaming for quite some time, I don't feel like I have a lot of experience building a community via streaming. But I'm going to be joined by Geek Devotion's very own Dallas Mora, and he's going to be talking about building community via VODs, i.e. YouTube, because Geek Devotion's got its start as a YouTube channel ministry, right, Dallas?
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So we're going to be having Dallas talk about that. I'm going to be talking about building community via podcasting, because I've done that for 6 years. Can you actually, a little more than 6 years?
Wow.
Yeah, so I should have a little something to say about that. Do you say I'm an old dog at this?
Oh, pro.
An old dog. Why are you calling me a dog, Dallas? That's so mean. I don't think I want you on my show anymore.
Let's keep it quiet.
An old pro. Thank you. I appreciate that. But these bats. So we're going to be talking about that. And also, we may touch on building community not for Christ, but in Christ as Christ followers. And that could go the context of online or in our everyday lives. But let's get started. You probably heard me talk enough. Actually, no. I'll start us off. This is my stream. I'll let Dallas, just in case. Is being old dog rough? Oh my gosh, rugged. Oh, also, by the way, Dallas, you're lovely. Actually, I call my own wife lovely. You can call Leslie lovely. I'm going to reserve lovely for my own wife.
All right.
Dale says, aw, bats. Oh my gosh, Dale, welcome to the stream. But your wife, Celeste, said she can hear both of us, or hear you both ways, both in stream and also in the next room, I assume.
In stereo.
In stereo, Dallas Mora. Okay. So, to begin, building communities as a podcaster. So how do we do this? You decide, you know what, I'm giving podcasting a go. I love this topic I'm going to talk about. And I think I have a lot of passion for what I want to discuss. I have the equipment. I didn't go out and buy a bunch. I chose the right things, got a good microphone, and I set up my stream in iTunes, and I've released an episode, but where is everyone? Why is no one listening? Well, first off, you should go back to our whole expectations talk on Streams Pause and God. But ideally, if you've been podcasting for a while, maybe not one episode, but you would hope to try to have some community engagement. And let's talk about how you might foster that. So first off, even before you start your podcast, or if you're still new in it, actually, even if you've been podcasting for a while, you can always think of ways to refresh and renew. And so keep this in consideration as I try to move this so I can actually see my notes. That might be helpful. If possible, involve someone else who wants to talk about the same thing as you. Now, I may have brought this up in past Streams Pause and God. I forget when all I've talked about this. But before Retro Rewind podcast, I actually did another podcast on being a dad. And even though it was a good subject and I had some stuff to talk about, it was really, really hard being the main showrunner with no one else doing it with me. I mean, I would have guests on, but I had to book the guests, I had to find them. I was the one interviewing them. I was doing all the stuff, all the socials, everything. And that gets really wearying, especially if you're hoping to, if you're doing it and you're not seeing much success. Well, I can go this way? Oh, wait, no, that's the same way I was going before. Come on. So it can be really wearying to do it by yourself. But when I started Retro Rewind podcast with my friend Paul, it was just night and day. So if you can involve someone else, and him and I both love talk about movies. So whatever your podcast is, and Dallas, the Geek Devotions, you do a podcast called Com Talk, correct?
Correct.
And do you find it's helpful being able to do it with Celeste, or
Yeah, absolutely.
okay,
It's really beneficial. A, because like we kind of troubleshoot together, like, what are we going to talk about? What's the subject going to be?
hmm
And then just having the ability to bounce off each other in conversation, because
yeah,
it gets old talking to yourself.
yeah, and I mean some people can do it, and the people that can, more power to you. But I'm not one of those people. So if you're first off, have a community just in terms of the podcast itself. I mean, someone, yeah, you like Dallas just said, you can bounce ideas off of. And if one of you can't do it for some reason, maybe the other one can. You can share the load, as Samwise famously said. So that's one way you can sort of establish a close-knit community. And you'll notice this expands as we go. Next, I would say when you're starting out with your podcast, or I mean, anytime, I think it helps though if it's a new podcast, you have that air of newness to it, and that can help. I don't know. There's something about something new that people want to get attached to and be a part of, or are more inclined to do that. But even if you're not, I would say reach out to your friends and family on social media and say on social media, ask them questions. Hey, I'm doing this podcast on, let's say you're doing it on Castlevania. Like, I love this game, Castlevania. I don't know if you've ever played it, but it's about hunting vampires and killing Dracula. Do you like vampire movies? Do you think that sounds like a cool concept for a game? Does it sound? Ask them questions that you could include as content in your show, and then when you're doing your podcast, say, "Hey, this comes from my friend Bob Saget," because you're friends with Bob Saget, and people want to listen to that. No, but seriously, I mean, hearing that. When people listen to your show and you hear that other people are talking, even if they're just your friends, that's okay. It shows that you're willing to listen to get feedback or hear other people, and to have your thoughts included on someone else's show. That's kind of cool. It's like, oh wow, I it's not quite the same. I don't think podcasting has become the same as hearing yourself on radio or especially on TV, but I think it still has an air of that, which is kind of a nice thing. Lastly, before I turn it over to Dallas, I'll say if you're trying to build community, so that can help build community is, again, having someone to do the podcast with on a regular basis, and also reaching out to friends and family to asking them questions and getting feedback from them to include in your show. And then lastly, I'll say be available on as many social media platforms as possible. Even if you don't like Twitter, even if you don't like Instagram, even if you don't like Snapchat, even though I don't use Snapchat, so I'm going to start eating my own words here. You don't necessarily have to be on them all the time, but have your name on those platforms. So if someone does want to reach out to you with those, they can, because not everyone likes every single thing. Some people love Instagram. Some other people love Twitter. Other people love Facebook. So being in a place that people can contact you allows for them to reach out to you in those places. If they find your show and love it, you want to be able to hear from them. So, and if you do hear from someone, respond. Don't just be like, "Oh, someone listened," and then don't say anything. You want to ask them a question. Ask them, "Hey, how did you find the show?" Or "What did you like about it? What could be improved?" It sort of try to engage them in a conversation. So it just, the conversation isn't just shut, and they can become a valuable member of your community, not just because they're a listener, but because you might make a new friend. And isn't that's one of the awesome things I've found with podcasting is just making new friendships. Like this guy Dallas he's a pretty cool guy, and I found him because hardly, but me doing a podcast, and I found him actually via YouTube. And you know what? Since he's a YouTuber, Dallas, why don't you take over? How can people actually, real quick, before we go to that, let's go to chat. But in a second here, Dallas is going to tell us what ideas he has for building community on YouTube. So first, Leslie says, that was a big deal for us, not knowing if anyone was listening to the podcast. Oh, yeah, exactly. That can be hard, especially if you're just starting out. And Dale says, how long did it take before you realized that someone was listening or watching? So that's a great question, Dale, let's save that for the Q&A. We will be doing a Q&A after this. And Dallas, if you're able to stick around for that, great, as I nosedive off the cliff. Apparently, as you wish. I mean, Dracula mesmerized me with his eyes or something from afar and said, jump off. And I'm like, okay, Dracula. Or maybe it was Thulsa Doom from Conan. Anyway, and then Lesty also says, Dallas's audio is kind of quiet in stream. Oh, okay. Let me try to turn him up. Thank you for saying that, Lesty.
I'm also trying to be quiet while you talk.
Oh, thank you. Well, I turned you up to max over 9,000, so hopefully now, as you...
It's over 9,000!
Oh my gosh, blowing out our eardrums. Let's hear from Dallas. I would love to hear this because I do some YouTube very, very minimally though. How can I increase my community or build community on YouTube, Dallas?
Yeah, well, here's the thing about YouTube. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. They're looking at starting their own YouTube show, and they have put so much work into getting all the equipment, Francisco. They have gotten this high-end mixer. They have gotten microphones and all this other stuff, and they're about ready to start, and they're like, oh no, I don't like this. This isn't good. And so they keep trying to get more stuff and more stuff. And I was talking, I was like, dude, just do something.
Yeah, just start.
Just start creating content. It's surprisingly the YouTube space is forgiving. If you're putting out content that's worth people's attention, if you're putting out content that they're interested in, they're pretty forgiving. I joke that we get frustrated that we put, I think on average, I put in close to anywhere between 10 to 20 hours a week.
Oh wow!
On Geek Devotions.
Oh my goodness!
Is that just editing, us coming?
Go ahead.
So what?
I was gonna say, is that just the video, or is that like everything having to do with Geek Devotions?
That's kind of everything. It's making the videos. It's us recording the videos. It's us doing the graphic work for it. It's us promoting it, putting it in different places and stuff like that. About 20 hours a week is what we do between Celeste and I, and it's a lot of work that we put into it. And yet the episodes that get the best ratings, like the people just like love, I slept together in 5 seconds.
Of course, isn't that the way it is?
I was just like, what the crap? And it's frustrating,
Yeah.
One of our highest ranking videos right now actually is a video we did for fun, and it was last year in October. We did King of the Monsters month, and
I've heard of that.
When we were there, yeah. You're a big part of that actually. But the first episode of that was an Extra Tuesday where I did story time, and I told the story as to why kaijus are always angry in those movies, and simply put, they're hungry.
with the tacos.
Yeah, and Francisco, that conversation, that episode came out of a Celeste and I were eating tacos and we're just hanging out, and literally it just came off the top of my head. I was like, let's tell the story. And so we did. I literally slapped this sucker together last minute for an Extra Tuesday episode, and people loved it.
Wow. So it's really, so you're saying that a good way of, if I'm understanding you right, a good way of starting out building community is you have to actually put something out there that people can actually respond to.
Exactly.
Regardless,
and that's the kicker. Is if we're not putting out stuff that people can respond to, then you can't build community. It's like it's like if I work for my church. I'm the online community pastor for my church, and so we're real big about community. If we're like, hey, come to our church, but we don't have anything for you to come to see and do, it's just stand there and look at my pastor. First off, that's weird, but second off, it's like they're not going to want to. There's no point.
Oh, that sounds very appealing to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
So when we're talking about building community, the first thing you got to do is get over the fear of things being perfect.
Yeah.
And just get out there and do something. People are very forgiving if you're giving value to their lives. And so that's the first tip I would give to anybody who wants to start building an online community, is just start putting out content. And, because of the YouTube algorithm and all that fun stuff, you've got to do things on a regular basis. And Francisco, you know this with even the podcast, y'all's podcast. You guys you have a very, very rigid schedule you guys keep to, and you guys program it out months in advance. And Celeste and I are envious of how organized you are. And
it's all just us bluffing it. We're not. Well, I mean, we are organized to a point. I feel like we could be way more organized. More me than Paul, my co-host. I think he's great at the organization. I feel like I'm not quite there, but thank you. You can continue.
But see, that's the thing, Francisco. You guys are working together, and you guys are figuring stuff out. And here's the you're like I could be more organized, and yeah, we can always improve. But don't let the fear of not being perfect keep you from producing the stuff
Totally
that adds values and hope to people's lives. And that's the first thing about building communities. We have to get past that fear. It's not us being. Some people look at people like you and I who do YouTube, who do podcasts, is like, well, why do you think you have something to put out there? Like, what makes you think that you have something to add to people's lives?
Envy much?
What did you say?
I said envious much because
Right.
I get a lot of. I've never really heard that, though. I can understand where that's coming from.
Yeah.
It sounds like, but
Well,
continue.
it's
I
just-
sort of interrupted.
Yeah, sorry.
You. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, fine. Be sorry. Continue. Please.
Again, because of the realm that I deal with, I often hear the negative side of people who down people who put out content like you and I do on a regular basis. And the matter of the fact is this: you and I, we've not decided that we're going to let the questions keep us from doing what needs to be done. Both of our podcasts and shows, we bring hope to people's lives in different ways. And Celeste and I were very pointed with certain things. Your podcast brings a whole new level of things because, it's what I love about it is yours is very friendly to those who are unchurched, but at the same time, the church can definitely connect to it, and you just weave your faith into things so perfectly and seamlessly. Like, I really stand in awe of what you and Paul do on a regular basis because you guys do such a great job of expressing your faith in a beautiful way that's fun and inviting for the non-believer. And so, but we're doing that. And so when people ask me those questions, like, well, what are you doing? What are you doing to put hope in people's lives?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the kicker for
Wait, people are asking you this, even though you're doing Geek Devotions?
Yeah, I've gotten questions before. It's like, well, what's the point?
Really? Okay.
I
From
remember,
churched or non-churched?
I'm from church people even.
Really?
I get that from.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just fascinated by that. I'm just surprised by that. It seems so obvious. I mean, I'm a smart dude, but I realize that is that smart.
Right. Well, again, it's like I remember Celeste and I were at a banquet for an event, and we were just sharing our heart with people about Geek Devotions and what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And they're like, but why? Like, why on YouTube?
Really?
That's not real space. Those aren't people there. I'm like, but they are, and this is where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to build community, you got to reach people where they are. The reality is, people are on the internet. They're on YouTube. They're on podcasts, and they're there more than they're in your churches. They're there more than they are at your church event or whatever it is you got going on. So we need to be there for them. But here's the real thing. This is why what you and I do really changes people's lives. And I don't know what's happening on your screen right now. But this is the weirdest level I've ever seen in my life.
I'm hating being Simon Belmont right now. Oh, well, I guess that wasn't so. Oh, there's a bad guy right there. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. So, but here's the deal. When we're building community, no matter what space we're in, Francisco, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on these other platforms, it's letting people know that they're loved.
Yeah.
It's that letting them know that we genuinely care about them. We genuinely are interested in their lives. You and I were looking at this chat, and in the chat, some people will look at it and they see screen names. You and I, we look at them and we see Dale, who's this really great guy who lives here in Louisiana, who he works hard, and he's really very intellectual, and he's got this way of typing out and writing these puns and these thoughts that are really deep that you have to give him the chance to say those things. And it's really awesome to hear him. Like, he's had some of the best comments I've ever read on my YouTube channel.
Oh, I thought you were talking about on stream. I'm like,
fine. Well, in your stream too.
No, I like.
Of course, Leslie for short, I think, is an amazing individual.
What? And, I mean, she's pretty good.
Right. And then Rugged Warrior, this guy's in here. This dude is pumping out puns left and right. He's always bringing interesting insight to the way that you play your game, and he's giving like advice we're looking at these guys. We're not looking at these people as screen names. We're looking at these as people. And so building community requires us to look at people as people and realizing that, you know, this is an individual. And so when I'm on YouTube, I'm talking to real people. I'm living on real people, and I try to respond to the chat as much as possible. Sometimes there are weeks where it just goes by and I don't get to do that, and that's a weakness on my part. It's the responding to comments. I really have to get better at that. And so that's a lot of, for my mindset of building community. Now you expand that out. You mentioned the whole concept of being on as many social platforms as possible. That is absolutely essential. Now I have some different mindsets of it. It's not just for the connection process, but also it's so that, you know, some other person can't get on there and go, hey, I'm going to claim Virtual Rewind Podcast, the Facebook page, and then put up all kinds of trash and claim your property.
Exactly. Yes, that is a good point.
You know, so again, I'm coming from the point of view of I have to guard, because of what I do for my church, I have to guard my church's name, and I take that really seriously.
Oh, totally.
And so at the same time, I guard Geek Devotions and whatnot. But at the same time, it is a matter of being where people are at and creating these spaces where we can communicate with them, love on them. We talk to a lot of our fan base, not on YouTube, but actually on Facebook in our group that we have, and also on our page.
Now, I do want to ask you a question about something you said a little earlier about the whole, someone saying that people, or those people that you have a conversation or you're at a get together and they said, what's the point of this? And I think that also comes from a place of, I think there's this element of, well, online community, they may not understand this, but there definitely is something to a community online. And I think that's a lot of what we're talking about, is establishing a community, building a community online. But I do think, and I was talking with our mutual friend Per Franson over at Christian Geek Central about this, that as good as online community is, it doesn't really trump flesh and bone. Speaking of bones, get away from me, skeletons. Actual like meat space community, like being plugged into your local church or in clubs in your neighborhood or community. Right. I think that I mean that's a whole different level of community that involves commitment and actually like as much as we're I think we're really good friends over online. If I was super sick, all you could really do for me is pray for me, which is certainly a big deal. But it's not like you couldn't send me meals or anything like that. Right. Or if, let's say, you need someone to help to edit videos for you or something, and I guess that could be technically done online. So something that couldn't be done online. If like you can't go and eat those ice cream tacos that guys for Geek Gods, what is it? Guys and
Geeky Guys for God.
Yeah, them too. You can't go and do that because you don't live where they live. So it's I think we need to understand that we do want to build online community, especially when it's people that are across the country and not in where we are, but don't do that to the detriment of your own community, like especially your own family, but also your church community, because those people need you and you need them, even I think to a greater degree than your online community needs you. But that doesn't, at the same time, that doesn't negate the value of the friendships you make online. Like I love, like you said it before, I love that Rugged Warriors here, Lesty's here, Dale's here. It's so great, and you're here. So it's an amazing thing. So I totally sort of stole your point, but I did want to bring that up.
Yeah, and that's a key point, absolutely. That the meat space, as you put it, which I'm going to now coin that as amazing. But
I didn't come up with it, but thank you. I'm surprised how many people haven't heard that before. It's like I heard that back in 2010 or something.
Huh?
I heard that back in like 2010, but still people don't know of it. That's fine though. Yeah, I mean, I made that up. Yeah, I'm clever like that.
Well, you know, you're over there on the West Coast, so you get all the fancy words before I do. So
good point. But the sun rises in the east, so wouldn't that mean you'd hear things before me?
So no, because it hits the East Coast, jumps to the West Coast, and then eventually ends in the bottom here in Louisiana.
Is that how that works? Well, uh, I'll let you finish any closing thoughts, Dallas, but I want to address chat real quick because we're kind of behind. I'm failing as a streamer, guys. Oh my gosh, so sorry. Okay, Rugged Warrior. Let's see. Dale said, well, Leslie said we are jealous of the organization. Thank you. I appreciate that, Leslie. I think we sort of make it look like it's more organized than it is, but thank you. Dale says, I like how you are doing what you guys do versus the finger pointers that do nothing. Oh, yeah. I imagine that he's referring to you guys, Dallas, you and Geek Devotions. Like, I think you guys have this story of how you first started Geek Devotions was of you going to a con and having these Christian protesters protesting the people at the con. And you got in conversation with people in line. Hopefully I'm remembering some of those details right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're actually doing something to engage the culture as opposed to without being of it, but still engaging it rather than just like, you're wrong, don't do that. But Dale says, I surprised myself. And then Rugged Warriors, what's a pun? Yeah, I'm sure you don't know what a pun is, Rugged Warrior. Leslie, good point, Dale. Not about surprising yourself. Oh, Dale, like a joke. Oh, what? Leslie, it's a dad joke. Is it? Is it really? I'm not so sure. Dale, I realize it's not about me. I am surprised in that moment when that intelligence comes through. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Totally get that. And let's see your response to Dale. It's there all the time. Oh. Dale, or when he allows that to come through, he being God. Because the capital H, that's how you know. I assume. Yeah. I guess I'm assuming. Maybe not, but I think that's what you mean. And then, good point, Dale, for everyone. Rugged Warrior says, I might go to a Geeky Guys for God event next Saturday. Oh, that's awesome. Hopefully it's ice cream tacos
that's so cool,
from
man.
sea to shining sea, except it's in California. So it's from Pacific to Las Vegas. I don't know whatever idiom you want to use. Leslie, is it the meat space or the meat space? It's meat as in MEAT because it's like meat, like
Meat Boy.
Yes, like Meat Boy. You can't see in camera, but that was me chewing on my own flesh. I'm not a cannibal. I know what we're talking about. Leslie, oh cool, Rugged Warrior. And then Dale, I am appreciative that you welcome us in your home. Yes, you are very welcome here. And I would. Oh, unless you're talking to Geek Devotions, because you may have been to their home. I don't know. You guys live in the same place. I live out here on the best coast, but that does keep me from getting to be inside your homes. But as much as you can be in my home, I'm glad you're here. I wish you guys could come over. That'd be so fun.
I think that his response about welcoming us into your home, Francisco, because you do this in your living room, and you're surrounded by your family. Your kids jump in every so often. Your wife is there. It's your podcast and your streams are very family driven, man. I mean, it's like yeah, we're hanging out with you.
But doesn't that feel like unprofessional sometimes? That's what I worry about. Like, geez, this guy with this.
I think because of the way that you do things, it's not unprofessional. Like your podcast itself, it's obviously very on point, very professional. Your streams, though, and other things, it feels like family.
Okay, well, I guess that's a good quality. I never really thought of it that way, though. I really appreciate that, though. Drop some hearts or some claps if you agree with Dallas, and if you don't, do some frowny faces. Like, you're wrong, Dallas. You don't know what we're talking about. We want professional streams. That's why we're here, in the hopes that someday Francisco will turn pro.
Pro family.
That's true. I am pro family. Dale, I'm talking about you. We see Christy come in every night. That's true. So she should be here soon. I'm actually going to go make sure the door is unlocked so she can get in. So 1 second, guys.
Waiting 1 second.
Okay, more than 1 second. Like 10 seconds. 10.
Okay.
9.
10 seconds.
8, 7, 6,
all right.
5,
Chat, spam the thing with a whole bunch of hearts and let Francisco know you love him as he goes and unlocks the door for his bride.
-1. Okay, there we go. Oh, let's do it with the hearts. Nice. Okay. Yes, I am back. See, that only took 11 seconds. I was close.
Word. So, Francisco, if I can, I want to comment on the whole thing about meeting people in space, in the meat space, as you put it.
Please do.
And it is absolutely essential for that to take place. What we do here online, we have a lot of fun. We talk, you and I, we talk often on Discord and other places. Our mutual friend Josh Berkey, he and I, we talk quite a bit, and
Awesome.
we help each other out with certain things, not just the professional stuff, but just life, man.
Yeah. Yep.
We ask Joe, hey, can you guys pray for me? We share things with each other, but there is the important aspect of being with the person face to face. It changes things, and what I think happens though is when we can establish communities like this online, where people are at, there is a wall that is removed that keeps people from really connecting. There's this great paradox in the church. There are two spiritual disciplines that are very important, and that is confession and fellowship. And the great paradox is this: you can't have true fellowship unless you have confession, but you can't have confession until you have fellowship.
So which comes first, Dallas? Which?
And so it's this awkward thing. And so I was actually teaching some students this the other day. I said, so here's what we have to do. Somebody has to step out in faith and trust somebody. We have to be willing to be vulnerable and be like, I'm going to trust you with something about my life so we can build fellowship. We have to honor that and that kind of stuff. But when we do stuff here online, there's this wall of like, well, I'm safe here. And so we are able to open up moments of fellowship here. And then what we can do is direct people to physical moments. So like Celeste and I often, we will tell people, hey, look, you need to connect with the local body. You need to be connected with the church that teaches the Word of God and walks you through these things and teaches you about prayer and all these things. We do things here, Celeste and I, through Geek Devotions. We try to do once a month things called Devoted Geek Togethers, where our devoted geeks, the people in our community here, are able to get together and hang out, because being live action, being with people, it's important.
Absolutely.
And we as geeks, we tend to isolate ourselves.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. I never do that.
No, never. You're a social butterfly.
Oh yeah, but you know what, Dallas, you had the wrong answer. Unfortunately, the right answer between what comes first, fellowship or confession, potlucks. You'd think you in the South would know that. Gosh.
Oh, it becomes a true confession when you have to tell somebody, wow, this tastes like junk.
Sorry, my wife distracted me with some goodness, but then I died.
Oh, no.
It's fine. It's fine. Totally fine.
Tell Christy I say hello.
And Dallas says hello. She said hello. We're just happy because our daughter, not me and Dallas's daughter, we're not married or anything. That'd be weird.
Nope.
Me and Christy's daughter did really well tonight for the most part in terms of going to bed. So that's compared to last night, that's a celebration. Anyway, those are some. Thank you so much for all those thoughts. Any like last bit, like quick tip or trick to building community, Dallas, for YouTube?
As far as building community online?
Yeah, online.
YouTube?
Yeah. Like, how do I get thousands of subscribers?
Change your name to Casey Neistat and then take over his channel.
Oh, is that all?
That's how you do that overnight.
That's super easy. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know it was that simple.
You just have to hack his system and make sure that he's nowhere able to reclaim his stuff. So
hire someone from Russia is what you're saying. Maybe they're on Fiverr. I don't know. No, but seriously, if you have any, like, I'm trying to think if there's any questions. Oh, let me go to chat. First off, Dale says, I'm talking about you. Oh yeah, we see Chrissy every night. Then Leslie put some hearts in chat. Thank you. Dale says, there have been streams where people are just eating and complaining, forgetting their audience. Ugh. Man, I don't know why people stream like that. But I'm
sorry, Dale. You don't have to keep talking about my streams, man.
Oh my goodness. But I mean, I guess if they do that like for 5 minutes out of their stream, then okay. But if it's like hours, if that's all they do, like every stream, that's kind of annoying. But then Leslie says, "Hi, Krista. Hey." That's okay. She's just apologizing for making noise. And then Leslie says, "Those are the worst. I drop out of streams that are nothing but complaining." Yeah, I don't know why people just sit and complain. But I guess misery loves company at times. Let's see. Dale says, "Go to a Baptist church. You'll see a lot of potlucks." I forget that you guys are AG, not Baptist, because I think South is just Baptist for some reason. That's why I was making a potluck joke. But I'm glad.
Dale's Baptist.
Oh, okay. Well, so Dale gets it. He's picking up what I'm putting down there.
So we have plenty of potlucks. In fact, Colonel Sanders was AG, man.
I don't think you do. I think you have no potlucks. You just eat the spirit. That's all it is, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting into weird territory.
Sorry. What heresy is this? What did I just step into? I'm totally kidding. Yeah, Christians, we do have a sense of humor, believe it or not.
They gasp.
They gasp. Then Leslie says, "Tip for building community is, in most situations, care about people." You know what? I think we're going to end it there because that's perfect, Leslie. That's exactly what you need to do. You need to care about people and want to. I'm going to just tack on and be willing to share some of yourself with them, and eat together. If you can't build community offline, eat together. Sharing a meal is great. If not, watch someone stream and be in chat. Chatting in a stream is the eating together of building online community, and so is commenting and leaving iTunes reviews, all the good stuff. All the good things.
Make sure you check the iTunes reviews in iTunes.
Yes, do that too, because oh gosh, Dallas. Anyway,
so embarrassing.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Dallas, for being here. This was a lot of fun getting to do Streams, Pods, and Gods with you. I think we touched quite a bit on the God part, so I think we got that part covered. And now we're going to move on to Q&A here. Let me just, do you want to stay on for Q&A or do you want to go to chat, Dallas?
Yeah, I can stay on. It'd be
okay.
Cool.